Hello, everybody. Welcome to PoliTarology. It's a Wednesday, and I'm doing a solo show. And I didn't do a whole big list of questions, but I have throughout the day listened to various news things. And there's really two topics that I really want to address. One is a whole lot of issues surrounding the Iranian bombing by Dumpy, and also the NATO meeting in the Netherlands, in The Hague. Very juicy, both of those topics. So I don't think I'll need much more than that to talk about. And if you'd like to put questions in the chat, that would be wonderful. So, oh my goodness. Do you guys have allergies? I have really bad allergies, and I just have to, oh God, my nose itches, my eyes itch. I mean, I'm taking stuff for it, but it's just that time of year. And right now in New Jersey, it is a wicked heat wave, and that always makes my allergies worse. I don't know why. It like heats up everything and cooks it, I guess. Anyway, so let's take a look in the chat. I know my sister is here backstage, and she's going to be starring things. So if you can put some questions in all caps so that she can see them and put them into the chat, that would be great. I'm going to start out. I would like to talk about how Trump is going to react to Iran saying, no, we're just going to redo our, nuclear program. You didn't do that much damage. Interesting, right? Yeah, really interesting. So we'll see. My camera is not really focused the right way. I think it got moved. I started a new job. I started my new job on Monday, and my camera was really in the way. So just give me a second. Let me just try to fix this here. Yeah, hopefully. I was worried I was going to like disconnect it or something. Let me just make that a little lower. Okay, there we go. I like that a little better. Okay, so the curtains, I keep steaming the curtains and they continue to be wrinkly, and my cat continues to be annoying. But thank you for being here, everybody. I really appreciate you being here. And so right now I want to look at what is his reaction really going to be to whatever's happening in Iran, since they're saying, yeah, no big, so you bombed us. I mean, I don't think that people who are in Iran feel that way, because I think they had to do a lot of evacuations, and it seems like homes were destroyed, neighborhoods were destroyed, so that's bad. But as far as the nuclear stuff, that doesn't seem to have been damaged nearly as much as Trump would like us to believe. Oh, 100 people already. Good. Thank you. And at some point, I am going to pick up my cat and kind of toss her on the floor. She's fine with this. She really wants to be right where I want to lay the cards, so I can't have her up here. This desk is much smaller than my other studio, so I really don't have the room to let her be up here. She likes to sit while I'm working, though, but I can't do cards while she's up here. So what is Dumpy going to do in reaction to Iran? Okay. All right, Kitty. I'm sorry, but I have to. Yeah. Come on. She's just like, oh, no, you can't move me. Yeah, I can move you. Okay. And you had your treats. That's all you're going to get. Both of you. That's it. All right. So what does the dumpster think is going to happen? He's on a tear. This guy truly believes, I mean, we can't trust him, clearly. He made this move just as the planet Uranus was within spitting distance of the degrees that it would change signs. So I believe now, I think it's Thursday. It will. No, kitty. Okay, excuse me 1 second. I gotta actually move my cat. Just gonna stop my camera for just a second. Okay, come on, kitty. You can't be up here because you're gonna move my cards all over the place. So you gotta go out. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. Call me when you're in Miami. All right. Okay. All right. So yeah, thanks, kitty. Moving everything. He really believes, well, not that he believes, but he is excited about how much attention he's getting. And he really thinks that this move that he made is just making him the man of the hour. He's very enamored of himself, and he'd like everybody else to show him how enamored they are of him. So there's that. Now, what crosses him is the Queen of Pentacles. There's some like inner acknowledgement about his own self-worth that is coming to the surface. And even though he likes the attention and that kind of blows him up and makes him feel pretty good, he still feels that he has to defend his position. He still feels like he has to getting booted after recent snafus. We'll see. We'll read on that. He still feels like he has to defend what he did. And you know how he talks is if he's breathing and speaking, he's lying. And so he always elaborates and what's it called? He always embellishes the lies with extraneous stuff that makes no sense. Now, true, they did work on this plan for a little while before they actually executed it. So what was it? He said, "Oh, I'm going to wait 2 weeks," and then it was like 3 days, and boom, there he did. There he went with the bomb. So I don't know how long they were really planning this, but apparently the military felt that they had enough time to actually go, to execute it. And he's not really satisfied yet with that reaction from Iran. He really feels like, whoop, nope, we got to go whoop some more butt because they're not being appropriately downtrodden. I guess I was going to say ashamed, but they didn't do anything to be ashamed about. Now, in the future, we have the King of Swords. That's a justice card. That's a prosecutor or an attorney. It's also messaging. It's also words coming out. But I'm getting from this that it's more the legalities of it. And I think there will be some action on the part of Congress because he didn't get their approval. I know he says that he's using some other law that many presidents have used, but when those presidents used it, they had, let's say, better reasons for doing it. He had like almost no reason for doing it. Plus, he went completely against his own intelligence. Yeah, he is worried about what the rest of the world is thinking, and he's especially worried about what Big Vlad is thinking. Because you notice Big Vlad also condemned his actions. And yet at the G7 meeting, Dumpy had gone out of his way to make a statement that, you guys kicked Vlad out and you should bring him back. Okay, whatever. He's alone on the world stage. He is the person standing all by himself. And this is what he created. This is what he wanted, was to get all this attention just on him. He's feeling pretty hopeful about the whole thing, and he gets the Magician as the final outcome. So I'm thinking that he may take some other actions. I don't know if it'll be more bombing or if it'll be, I don't know. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Sorry, my computer is talking to me. Sorry about that. So I think he's going to try to do something else. Now let's take a look at some of these people that are in his cabinet who are, apparently not performing up to par in his eyes. Let's do Hegseth first. Okay, doke. Hegseth. Okay. Good questions, I see. Okay. What's going to happen to Mr. Hegseth? Oh, so apparently Pete has done something good with this bombing arrangement, and this is going to give him more work from Trump. So he's going to be working even harder, if that's possible. Maybe he can get some tips from Marco on how to do extra jobs. All right, now let's see. What about Marco? Cleo, could you put that question up again about the various people that they wanted me to read about? I just don't see how Rubio is even functioning. All this stuff just seems so weird.
I'm not sure which question you're talking about.
The one you just put up that said, what will happen to F-45's cabinet? And
Which, by the way, that was an accident.
Oh, okay.
But let me see if I can find what you're talking about. Must be up here a little bit. Was it about cabinet members?
It said, yeah, what about F-45's cabinet? And I think they said Hegseth. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. Are cabinet members getting booted by BT F-45 after recent snafus? Gnome, Hegseth, Gabbard. So, okay. So I threw in Rubio. So Rubio, no. Rubio is going to be fine. Rubio somehow knows how to dance down the fine line. I mean, did you see him at the parade? He just looked completely bored. Now, maybe that's because he's just really burnt out because he's doing 85 jobs. So that might be what his deal is. Okay, so let's look at Gnome and Gabbard. So first we'll look at Gabbard. What is the fate for... I can't believe that people are actually like worried about Tulsi Gabbard. Who cares? They did not want her to have that position. They knew she was a Russian asset. And yet when he goes in to do some of these things and she says, no, there's no nukes, doesn't work. And then what happens? Putin criticizes him. So what's going on? I'm going to put this back. The world card jumped out when I was starting to shuffle for her. But Tulsi Gabbard, is she going to keep her job or is she going to lose her job? And was it Tulsi Gabbard that they had said they were going to have Stephen Miller step in while she was unavailable, or was that Gnome? I don't know. Frankly, I can't tell them apart. They're interesting. So Tulsi Gabbard gets the 8 of Swords, the Ace of Swords, and the 3 of Cups. So I think she'll be punished in some way for being wrong. But something's going to come out. Something is going to come out, and then she's protected in some way. So I don't think she's going to lose her job either. So that's 3 out of 4 so far. I'm going to be fine. And now let's look at Gnome. Gnome's the one that was hospitalized, right? Or was it Gabbard? I can't keep, like I said, I can't keep them straight. Yeah, thank you, Anna and Abby. Thank you. And Opyop and everybody who said that. I think I just got my cards mixed up, though. Well, things are going to be good for her for a while, but then they change. And I'm going to say that they change like August, September time. Things change for her. But right now, she's going to come back from her hospitalization and be a new woman. Who knows? Maybe she needed some more plastic surgery. Who knows? All right. So here's this. And I just want to check my cards. Okay. So another thing that I want to know about this Iran thing is what was he really trying to get at? Was this all for attention, or was he pissed because he was saying he was trying to broker peace and then Netanyahu just kept doing stuff? I think that's what it was. I think that, yeah, I think that he was doing this not so much about the nuclear stuff, but just because he wanted to broker peace. And when Benny went against him, kind of behind his back, and was like continuing to send missiles when they were supposed to have a ceasefire, I think that really got him bent out of shape. Plus he goes to the G7 and they're mean to him. They didn't let him finish talking in front of the cameras. They were mean. So I think that made him feel stupid. And so he had to get out of there. He came home. He said, I'm not waiting the 2 bloody weeks. I am bombing them now. Go. I think that's why he did it. Because he was just pissed, which is really frightening because this guy should not have power. He just should not be in power. He shouldn't be in charge of a remote for a television set, let alone the nuclear codes. He should not be that person. And the military, what's going on with them? I thought that they were going to stand up and be like, no, we can't do that, sir. We can't get into a war with Iran. Well, too late. You're in one now. I don't know. It's not good. And what else? What else is going to be happening? I know I did that first question where I was asking what his reaction will be, but I just want a general for Iran. What is coming up in the future? Because Iran really is trying to keep talking and to keep their voice in the public sphere. Because I don't think they want to keep going with this. I think they want a diplomatic solution. They don't want to be wiped off the face of the earth, and they don't want to suffer the devastation that is probably in store for them if Israel and the US are really attacking them. So what's really going to happen with Iran? Are they going to be able to talk their way out of this? And don't forget, Vladimir Putin is behind them. Now, what can Putin really do? You know, I don't think Putin has the resources to start sending people to Iran to fight. I just don't think they do. And for now, Iran has been given as good as it gets to Israel. Gee, it's funny. Their little Iron Dome thing is not working. That's odd. Okay, what's going to happen to Iran? Ooh, look what hopped out. Justice. And I don't quite know what that means in terms of Iran. Justice for what? For who? You know, like, I think I got to turn these around. Justice for Iran? So somehow somebody's going to help them? Two of Cups. Yes, a diplomatic solution is there for them. So even if Dumpy takes more action against them, which I really think he will, because he's too thin-skinned to stand by and be like, oh, okay, well, we'll just let that happen. No, he doesn't know how to negotiate. He doesn't know diplomacy. He doesn't understand really world affairs. He doesn't understand economics. I don't know. I know he went to West Point, but I think all he got out of it was that if he had a bigger stick, he might win the fight. I just don't think the guy gets anything about anything. All right, so some diplomacy. Oh, that's interesting. The 10 of Pentacles. That's an ending card. Tens are endings. Pentacles are money, but they're also tangible things. So there could be something that he's trying to do, and then he wants to jump back into the relationship because they got the Two of Cups. So they are going to be forging a relationship somehow to, I think, to pull themselves out of it, to be safe. Four of Wands, the safety of a home, the safety of family around them. So they're going to have some kind of support. Obviously not the US, but they're going to have some support. Seven of Swords in the background. Yeah, some weird things have gone on in Iran. They have a very convoluted history with the US. Very convoluted. All right, and then we have the Knight of Wands up top. So there's going to be some actions, some big, bold actions that are taken, probably against them. Oh, maybe not. You know what I get with this? Eight of Pentacles. I get a new nuclear deal. I get that old deal that was written up, I think, during Obama. I get that. Maybe it was before Obama, but I get that whole agreement is taken out, dusted off, and they try to reignite it. They try to reinstate it. Anyway, the ideas of it, they try to reinstate. Because that's what Iran really wants. Yeah, they need friends. They're really hoping that they can get some friends somewhere. And the world wants that. NATO wants that. NATO doesn't want to see that part of the world get blown up. And not even with nuclear. NATO doesn't want to see that part of the world devastated, because that's not good for anybody. Where are all the people going to go? They already have all the refugees from Gaza. They already have refugees all over Europe that they don't know what to do with. So, yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. It's not a great thing. There is going to be some fighting, but at the base of everything, there is also going to be a new beginning for Iran. There's going to be a new set of alliances for Iran, and they may come from very surprising places. It may not be Russia. It may be some other country, Qatar or some other country in the Middle East, that jumps in to help them with diplomatic relations, and also that old agreement, I think, might be coming back, or the bones of it, the bones of that agreement might be coming back. All right, so that looks good for Iran. That looks like, hopeful, but there will be more stuff happening. So it's not going to be like no more fighting at all. There will be a little bit, but eventually it's going to be good. Okay. So what should we do next? Should we move on to the NATO meeting? Has Trump left yet? Did Trump come home yet from the NATO meeting? Okay. So what's going to happen? I'm going to switch decks here. What's going to happen with the NATO meeting? Now, do you get that bombing Iran was last straw, along with election information coming out? You know, Brian, let me put your thing up. So, the bombing of Iran, it's not the last straw. Clearly, our Congress and the rest of the world has unending patience for what kinds of ludicrous decisions this man makes. The election information coming out is good, but that's not going to put things over the top. It's just not. It's not enough to convince everybody. It convinces most, but doesn't convince certain people who really need to be convinced. Impeachment, I don't think that's practical. I just don't think that can happen. So I do think that he's going to be out definitely before the end of 2025. I'm going to say that. He is out of the Oval before the end of the year. Probably sooner than that, because I think the beginnings of that process kind of are happening now. I mean, he's really losing favor. Look what happened. Marjorie Taylor Greene and a couple of others were very, very critical of his bombing of Iran, very critical. And then they got a good talking to, and they had to change their tune. Very interesting how quickly that changed, how quickly that came around. Now, if you recall, at the G7 meeting, he comes, I think he was the last to arrive, and he was a little upset that they weren't all standing and waiting for his plane. Well, they were already in meetings, right? So he comes, Carney tries to, placate him, giving him a little place to have a little presser. So he starts talking, but then he's just talking nonsense and going off. So Carney has to stop him. And, the dumpy didn't like that. So then he had to get mad and leave. And that's when he goes home and he does the bombing. Now, the NATO meeting, Dumpy just likes being the center of attention. So let's see. What is going on with the NATO meetings? Is he going to really sit for any of these meetings? What's going to happen for this NATO meeting? I did hear some of the speeches that were given at the beginning of the meeting, and they were not particularly complimentary of the actions the U.S. had taken. But they didn't name Trump, and they were a little oblique in their references. They didn't say, the bombing of Iran was horrible. They said, it's important for us to maintain diplomatic channels for this stuff, and a whole bunch of other stuff too. So let's see, what is going to be the outcome for Dumpy for this NATO meeting? Yeah, same, Brian. Same. Well, the meeting is going to be an end. This may be the last meeting that DJT actually attends. Get the 10 of swords. So he doesn't like that. That's the 10. That's usually the 10 swords in the back. In this deck, it's just 10 pins in the pin cushion. So he's feeling it. He's feeling their knives, their verbal wounds. He's feeling it from all those speeches. He's got the 4 of Pentacles, so he's just like hanging tough. And right under it is the World. It is, yeah, Ruta did flatter him, but he didn't really mean it. And if you listen to the other speeches, they are likewise. They're very, very similar. Now, Ruta flattered the most, The rest of them didn't really flatter as much, but it was all, as Midas Touch put it, was all very coded language. Now, at the base for him is the world. Now, the world can mean the world stage. It can also mean an end. And I think it's going along with the Ten of Swords. This is the end of him. Maybe the end of him being invited to any of these meetings. Maybe they're just going to flat out stop inviting him because he's a monster. All right. So in the past, we have the Seven of Pentacles. He's waiting. Oh, in 2 weeks, we're going to do this. In 2 weeks, we're going to do that. And then he gets mad and says, oh, you think I'm too chicken to do it? Boom, I'm going to do it. What crowns him? Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands. That would be a fire sign woman. That's not Ursula von der Leyen. She was the only woman that spoke at the NATO meeting. But some fire sign woman, yeah, could say something. And then we have the Nine of Wands, which is, again, defending your position, defending your hill. So, and then we get the Star, which is what he's hoping for. He likes being the center of attention. Then we get the Chariot. He's going to blow out of there. Then we get Justice. Ooh, I wonder if he's going to get wind about what the ICC is doing. And we end with the Two of Wands. So it's his decision whether he'll leave or not. I'm going to throw a few more cards here. Yeah, Eight of Swords. He feels trapped. Seven of Cups, illusion and delusion. And then Eight of Cups. That's the leaving card. So, and Eight of Wands soon. So what's going to happen is he is going to he's going to try to hang in there. I don't know how long this meeting is supposed to last, if it's 2 days or 3 days or whatever, but it's he's not going to stay for the whole thing. He's definitely going to leave early. I don't even know what's going on with this thing so far, but they said that there was a dinner that was a working dinner tonight, and then there might be other dinners in other days. So I think it's a multi-day affair, but he's not going to hang in there the whole time. He's, again, going to hightail it out of there because he's not built for diplomacy. And this smells too much like diplomacy. Oh, Jamie, it's the Housewives Tarot. It's a really nice deck. It's a little smaller. It's very easy to shuffle because of that, even though the cards are kind of stiff. It's a nice deck. And I love the art on it. It's very kitsch. Okay, so that's what he's going to do. Now, what's going to happen with NATO itself? That's what I want to know. And then I'm going to look in the chat for more, in the star questions for more questions. Oh, he's already left. Thank you, Mary Avia. Okay, thank you. So, okay, I was right. He's left. And he leaves quickly. He is such a bozo. And he has no idea how much he has damaged the American reputation. He only sees it from his own perspective. He only sees it as himself, his ego, his little hurt feelings. That's all he sees. But what are the rest of the NATO countries going to be doing once he's gone? Well, they're going to get some business done. That's what. They're going to make some agreements with or without him and maybe take some action. Maybe they're going to talk about Iran and Israel. Not that Israel is in the EU, but it affects them. It's the same landmass, well, not Israel, but it's close, right? So what is NATO going to take care of? What are these countries going to try to take care of now that Dumpy's gone? And is Canada there too? Yeah, Mark Carney's there. So yeah, Mark Carney is part of NATO. He's not part of the EU. I keep getting to that somehow Australia and Canada are going to become kind of either a part of the EU organizations or somehow adjacent. Like they're going to make some dispensation for them not being on the same continent because they do so much with them. I'm surprised. I don't know that Australia is or isn't there at the NATO conference, but because they are a NATO country, but I didn't hear anything about Australia. But for EU purposes, they can't be a part of the EU because they're physically not in Europe. But They could make them like honorary or something. I mean, they're part of the Five Eyes. Oh, maybe that's what they're going to talk about. Getting rid of the US and the Five Eyes. Oh boy, what a slap in the face. Yeah, that's right, Carolyn Stein. If he isn't worshipped like a god, he gets upset. That's right. Zelensky was there too. Yeah, and he was at the G7. So yeah, Zelensky's getting around. Oh, and who was it? Ursula von der Leyen's speech was very, very strong on Ukraine. Okay, what are they going to try to do? King of Pentacles. Yeah, they're going to be talking about money. Three of Swords. They're going to be talking about the betrayal because Dumpy has not only betrayed the US, they've betrayed NATO. They've betrayed NATO. Probably in multiple ways. And they have some decisions to make because it's just not right that the US holds such a, shall we say, prominent position in NATO, and yet they're not good in good faith adhering to the whatever it is, Article 5. They're just not. So Australia's not NATO? I thought they were NATO. Oh. King of Cups. Who is that? King of Cups. That's the one. Nobody knows who it is. And the Page of Swords. So they're talking about the actions of this man. Because Dumpy is the Page of Swords. He's an immature Gemini. So they're talking about him. They don't like the decisions. They know they had to pay him homage just to get him there. They just wanted him there because they know that he's dangerous. They know if they really piss him off, and he was already pissed off from the G7, that he'll do dangerous things. Case in point, after the G7, he does the bombs right away. They're not quite sure what to do, but they do have the world's best interest at heart. The final card is the world. So they are going to do something, and it is going to bring something to an end. So I'm wondering if they aren't thinking that they do something to diminish the standing of the US in NATO, if not say, well, then you are going to be kicked out of NATO or something. Which, would Trump just love that? Would Vladimir Putin just love that? I don't know. Yep, there's the Empress. He would love it. Here's the Eight of Pentacles. They'll be very careful with this. The Five of Wands. So maybe it's not NATO. Maybe they get rid of US for Five Eyes. Maybe they just reform a different organization and they just let Five Eyes languish there and they don't do anything at all with Five Eyes because they don't trust the US anymore. Yeah, that's what I think they're going to do. Yeah. They're going to have some agreements, all right, and they're going to bring some things to a big end because they can't trust him. He's too crazy. They just can't trust him. So there's that. Okay, let's look at some starred questions. I could read on it. Do another deck. When is the election for the New York mayor? Does anybody know?
I thought that guy just won the primary, that Kumo he had to step out. But I don't know.
I
I'm not
don't
sure.
know. I haven't been watching it. November 2025. Okay. So Mandami is the Democratic candidate. Yesterday would have been the primary.
Yeah, I think he is the Democratic candidate. Because the other guy, Kumo, he stepped down. He just conceded,
Yeah,
basically.
I just want to I want to grab this while it's here. So, Christine, they can't arrest him. The Hague hasn't actually brought formal charges against him yet. They have things drawn up, but they haven't actually issued any kind of an arrest thing or indictment or whatever the heck they do with that. So that's why they're not arresting him. And I don't know where that other question was, but Mandami is what we're looking at. Is he going to... Who's he running against? Who's the Republican? Does anybody know when his birthday is? I don't know. This looks like he's really going to have a hard time in the campaign. Looks like it's going to be really a challenge for him. Very, very big challenge. But he kind of rallies towards the end, and he might pull it out of the hat. But I'm not getting just an absolute yes. I'm getting that he really has an uphill battle. So sorry, I can't say definitively yes or no. I mean, so much could change between now and November. So much. Okay. All right, let's get another question up here. Will F-45 be firing cabinet members after recent embarrassments? We read on that. No, he's not. Can you read on the whistleblower who wrote the letter to Congress about Bove telling the DOJ attorneys to tell the show your brands to fuck off? Will this Bove attorney still be confirmed or not? He's not confirmed? Okay. Well, let's see. Let's see. Will Bove be confirmed? Confirmed as head of the DOJ? No, that's Pam Bondi. Why would that be? Is she just acting? Is he replacing her? I don't know what the situation is there. Okay, maybe I'll just look that up. A judicial nominee. Is he being looked at for a judgeship? Yeah, a nomination of Bove to the Third U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals marks the first time he's selected one of his lawyers to serve on the bench. Okay, I just wanted to know what I was really reading on. So it's a judicial appointment. Oh, and FYI, according to CNN, and Emile Bove doesn't recall saying this. Sorry, I don't recall. I wish that would work for everybody. You get stopped for speeding. Sorry, I don't recall speeding. You can't arrest me or give me a ticket because I don't recall. I don't remember doing that. Emile Bove become a judge. Yeah, Trump would love that because that's all those appeals that he wants to get through. Okay, let's see. I don't think so. Well, let's see. This doesn't look good. No, this does not look good. Oh, terrible. No, he is not going to be confirmed. This looks really, really bad. He gets a lot of really bad cards, not the least of which is the Eight of Swords, which is confinement or imprisonment, followed by the Wheel of Fortune. So, things are really going to change. But after the Wheel of Fortune, he gets nothing but bad cards. Seven of Pentacles. He's in this deck is a bad card, is a really negative card. It's, not finding your fortune, not having your ship come in, not being able to harvest what you've sown, bad. Then he gets the Seven of Wands, which is also a defensive card, defending your own territory. Then he gets the Five of Cups. That's no bueno. That's, you're sad, you're bereft, you're at a loss. Three of Swords, grieving, mourning, not able to face what's coming at you. Then he gets the Eight of Wands, really fast stuff. And the final card is a Five of Swords, which is also a negative card in this deck. It's, you are tortured basically. So I don't think it's going to be good for him. I don't think he's going to get anything good. So that's Emile Bove. What else we got? Why did 128 Dems to vote to table impeachment? Are they keeping their powder dry for later?
And you've got this question several times. So a bunch of people are asking the same question.
Okay. All right, let me take a drink here. Why did 128 Dems vote to table impeachment? Are they trying to keep their powder dry for later? Basically, they know that it's a fruitless exercise and they don't want to waste what political capital they have on something that they know is just a losing battle. Maybe later in the year it would be a winning battle, but right now they're just wasting votes. They're just wasting things. There's still a tremendous amount of Russian pressure on people in Congress and the Senate. And the senators are also weighing in on this, even though this is a vote in Congress. The senators are still inflicting their pressure on the people in the House because they don't want this coming up. They have, I guess, other things to do. Although, when has Congress really done anything for the last 8 years? They've done a few things under Biden, but for the most part, a lot of things they just didn't do. Now, this is interesting because Putin has kind of turned on Dumpy. So I'd say that Putin has a lot more to do with this than anything else. And it also just goes to show how corrupted or infected or damaged the Congress and the Senate are by Russian interference. And I think that's really what it comes down to. Russian interference. And that what they'll say though out loud is that it's just a non-winning exercise. It's just not, it's not going to go anywhere. Even if we bring the papers up, the articles up, and it passes, it's not going to go anywhere. So they would rather not waste their time on it and spend the money on it. They want to wait until they have more wind in their sails about this. All right, next question. Curious, what do you think is going to get him removed, or how do you think he's going to be removed? There's going to be a confluence of many things that bring him to a conclusion. Part of it could be his own health, but from outside forces, there will be input about election interference. There will be input about all the many things that he has done that are against the Constitution, that are illegal, that are treasonous, that, clearly, like even the documents case, I mean, that stuff, all of that stuff is going to come to bear. Now, I also feel that there is going to be input from organizations outside of the US, like NATO, like the European Council, which is not just the European Union, but the European Union is basically a financial organization. But the European Council is a group of most countries who are in the European Union, but just European countries in general, who meet together for common things in addition to what NATO does. So common things about trade, common things about defense, common things about, military effectiveness and cooperation among countries. So I think them, the ICC, maybe even Interpol, because Dumpy has been involved, at least on the periphery, but more likely really involved with some things that are very illegal on a world scale, like election interference in other countries. But he could also be doing money laundering. I mean, he doesn't really hide the fact that he engages in money laundering, and that, because he has done that with the involvement of people from foreign countries, that's an international crime. So that's another thing. So I think that a confluence of these different types of wrongs, crimes, if you will, are going to come to the surface and be pressed. And all of this will sort of act to make the world see him as the criminal that he is. I don't know exactly what will tip it off, but I know astrologically, this thing with the bombing that he did, that coincided with the beginnings of Uranus changing signs. It didn't quite change signs yet. I can bring this up so I'm not talking out of my ass. I'll bring that up. But it's right around now. So let me just pull up the June. Yeah, so right after the first week in July 8th is the date that it actually changes signs. But right now we're within spitting distance because Uranus is in the 29th degree. So the 29th degree of any sign, the anaretic degree, that is when the power of that sign, of that planet in that sign, is the greatest. So right now Uranus is in Taurus, which has to do with the earth, with notice the bombing was going down into the earth. It's kind of on the nose, isn't it? Bombing the earth, Uranus in Taurus. So that's all really, really coming to the fore as it is in that 29th degree. But now as it's getting closer to Gemini, that Uranus is really affecting Dumpy's chart, because Dumpy is a Gemini with Uranus very, very close to his sun, pretty much conjunct his sun. And when Uranus hits your sun, it's crazy time. It makes you nuts. When people have what is called a Uranus return, that's when Uranus hits a point in your chart that makes you have physical reactions in your body to your Kundalini energy. You feel your Kundalini energy literally rising up your spine, and people express this in very different ways. So it happens around the age of 44, and around the age of 44, when Uranus is opposing itself in your birth chart, is when most people have either a big spiritual awakening, or they leave their marriages, or they have what is somewhat known as a midlife crisis. They go out and they try to be, 25 again, or they get a much younger romantic partner, or they need to get a puppy, or they need to travel the world. They need to break out of their lifestyle and what they've previously been doing. And that's that Kundalini energy literally starting at the base of your spine and just crawling up your spine with spiritual energy that you got to do something with. It compels you to do something. And like I said, everybody reacts differently to this. And in marriages, when the partners, especially if the partners are like not roughly the same age, they're experiencing this at different times. So that one partner may not understand what the other partner is going through. So Trump is way older than that. His Uranus return will happen when he's 84. That's about when it happens for most people, is around 84. And that's a very different experience. That's the experience of just saying, I really don't give an F what anybody thinks of me, and now I can do what I want. And you've probably seen this with elderly relatives. Once, if they're lucky enough to live that long, they just don't feel beholden to the rules anymore whatsoever. Now, some women get that at 44. Some men get that at 44. And there's other planetary things that play out, and people have other cycles and stuff going on that may also make them feel something like that. But the Uranus return is really, really different. So Dumpy's demise, we shall say, not necessarily physical demise, but demise as president, is really hard to pin down and predict, because he's got this Uranus involvement. And he's always been very unpredictable because he has Uranus conjunct his sun. So, and he likes that. He thinks that makes him cool, or the guy, or the star, or whatever. And so trying to figure out what exactly is going to bring about his demise is difficult, because it's very hard to predict Uranus, what's going to happen under Uranus. The best we can do is look at the sign that it's going through and the planets in one's chart and the signs of those planets, to make a best guess. Like Uranus can be eccentric, explosive, upheaval, chaotic. And now in the sign of Taurus, I can say, yeah, bombs in the earth. That's a Uranus Taurus kind of phenomena. So all these things are going to go together. And when things really start happening, which I believe that we're already in it right now, I believe it's already happening right now, this will begin to peel away the layers of his power. You've already seen for about the last month, he doesn't hold the power over people that he used to. I mean, look at the G7, what they did. They controlled him. Look at NATO, they're controlling him. His cabinet people have been brought to heel. Now that is probably more somebody else is doing, Stephen Miller or somebody, blackmailing them, or, something. But Dumpy himself is kind of losing ground as far as being this, big, powerful person. And I think he's losing supporters too. And all of this goes together to bring him down. And it will happen in stages, many stages. But I think starting from now through the fall, really, I think we'll see the worst of it, and soon him being physically removed from the White House. And then by the end of the year, I think the cleanup on aisle 3 will have started in earnest, and a lot of things will be changed back. Will the country be safe from any retribution from Taco and his cabinet when Taco is removed? Well, probably, because I think that there will be a heavy military involvement with this. I think our military is literally, it's what they always say, folks, the best in the world. They're not going to make any mistakes. They're going to make sure that they handle this exactly the right way. And that's one reason why they have not done anything since the election. Not the right time. Things aren't in place. It's not what it's supposed to do. They're smart people that are looking at this. Very, very smart people. And they'll put everything back together. I don't think the military will put everything back together. I think there'll be an interim government, and I think the interim government will begin to put things back together. First identifying, because we only know the stuff that we saw in the half-ass, ridiculous, gaslighted news that we've been getting since January. But there's probably a lot more stuff that has happened that we don't really know about, and so far probably hasn't affected our lives. That's why nobody has been shouting about it. So it's going to be a process, and it's going to be a long process, but knowing that he's out should make that process a little less painful. So that's what I have to say about that. No, that stupid thing is not going to get passed. It just isn't. It's not going to be passed. All right. Anything else? Any other questions that we want to do? Of course. Of course, Mitch is going to go to the great big beyond. Let's see if it'll be before 2025. Oh, hang on a second. Is that it? Okay. Okay. All right. Moscow Mitch. Remember the good old days when we used to call him Moscow Mitch? I even bought a shot glass with a little picture of him in a Russian hat. It says, "Say niet to Moscow Mitch." And another lady I know who's quite active politically, I bought her a big, huge pin that said, "Say niet to Moscow Mitch." She loved it. Okay. Moscow Mitch be shuffling off in 2025. First card out, Russia and Justice. I think this means that Russia is going to decide when he leaves. Knight of Pentacles. Ah! I think he'll be out of the Senate before the end of the year. I don't know. I think his term goes into 2026. Comes right up when you start typing it in. Yeah, he goes through 2026. His actual term is set to expire in January of 2027. So I think he'll be gone this year. I don't think he's going to be able to finish his term. But that's what he wants. he wants to literally die on the Senate floor. So kind of creepy, but he's a creepy guy. He is a creepy guy. Anything else you want to look at? Vedic astrologer said July would be financially downturns and stock market going down. I don't really I definitely don't do Vedic astrology, but I don't really, I haven't looked at July astrologically for financial things. So I don't know. I do know that most of the Vedic astrologers that I used to follow were so excited about Dumpy the first time around. And they were so convinced that he was going to be so good for the United States. And that's when I stopped listening to them. So I haven't listened to them since. So I can't tell you about that. But we have good news to celebrate on 4th of July. We really need it. Oh yeah, let's look at that. You know what? I'm going to use a different deck for this. We have something good to celebrate on 4th of July. Will we be happy on the 4th of July? Maybe I should say, what will be our mood on 4th of July? Let's do that. What will be our mood on 4th of July? Okay. Very hopeful. Our mood will be very, very hopeful. We will feel like we're on a new journey. So something's going to be changed by 4th of July. The things that are happening for us will be very swift. There'll be a lot of news and a lot of things happening that are really, really swift. We get the star, the best of America, the best of democracy coming in. We get the world that crowns us. So again, we're going to have the world really helping us out here with what we're trying to do. Look how pretty that is when the stars just go up and down on that. That's so pretty. We're going to have a lot of people working on this, making things better for us. Oh, they got stars on all these cards. I didn't realize that. That's so cool. Yeah, this is people working together, people working behind the scenes, people coming together. We're worried. We're worried about the, money, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all the stuff. We're worried about everything, especially as it affects our money and our security and our food. But, it's interesting. I think that the country will really come together once we know that Dumpy is going to be, let out of the picture. The one thing that may still be a little weird is that our hopes for the future may be just so far flung. We may be just open. Yeah, let's get everything done now. Let's do all this stuff. And those things can happen, but they're not going to happen before the end of 2025. It's going to take, like, for instance, just, Medicare for all. That could happen, but will it happen before the end of 2025? I don't know. They got to figure out how to structure it, how to pay for it, how to manage it, because it's definitely going to be cheaper in the long run than what's going on now. But you got to get the insurance companies out of it and the pharmaceutical companies out of it. There's a lot of problems now as far as like Medicare, not Medicare, Social Security, SSI, all of that kind of stuff. That's something that the government really controls all aspects of that. So that's something I think that they could really get fixed. They could go back to kind of where it's going, but you have to understand that the data, everybody's data, has now been spread out to all these, really non-allied countries due to Mr. Musk and Palantir. And so the systems that were in place have to be rebuilt, not rebuilt in the old way, probably rebuilt in the new way, because the languages, the programming languages that were used to write those things originally, and there probably wasn't just one. It was probably a patchwork quilt of things, of pieces that worked together, which just can't be recreated. However, I do think actually Palantir will be helpful in recreating a system that will work better and be more modern and be more streamlined than all of the patchwork quilt that was there before. So I think there's a lot of hope for things being rebuilt. I think our government will look really different in 5 years than what we had, let's say, in 2024. I think it'll be a very, very different government with lots and lots of different rules and laws and not entitlements, but services, a lot of different services for people when we get through this. So good question. Yes, I think we will have things to celebrate on July 4th. Could show massive No Kings protests. That would make us very hopeful. Now, the No Kings protests are scheduled for July 4th. When I looked it up, it said July 17th. But are there also protests on July 4th? Yeah. Okay. July 4th. Yeah. Yeah, on July 4th. Yeah. I just found out that a couple miles up the highway from me, there's a smaller town that had a very successful, maybe two very successful No Kings protests. And they just went around like kind of like a village green. And you could like take a lawn chair and sit and watch it. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I can't march in a protest. I would make it for about 20 minutes and then I would be like, oh my God, I can't walk. So if that's the case, and I can, walk for a little while and then break out my lawn chair and sit for 20 minutes and then walk for 20 minutes, sit for 20, I could do that. So I would love to do that. All right. Yay. Can't wait until Trump is nothing but a cautionary tale in the history books. Well, you're going to be waiting for a while for that because the history books are not going to be able to be written truthfully for a while, because there's still going to be MAGA around and there's still going to be these people trying to do this, bad stuff. 100% will go to, yes, he will. Yeah, he will. I think you mean president, not resident. Musk will go down as an illegitimate resident. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, when I looked up No Kings, it said July 17th. But so what is the group for July 4th? I'll look it up. Oh, indivisible groups are hosting parades and protests on July 4th. It doesn't really, it just says local indivisible groups. Oh. Oh, Freedom America? Let's see. The same stuff just came up. Yeah, I think there's a lot of groups. What is the big news Anonymous will be releasing? I don't know. I don't know what they got. I haven't really focused on it. I haven't gotten any messages about it. I think that there's a reason why we don't know. And I think it's just okay. I think the impact of what they're going to do needs to come out and be a big shock. I think that's a big helping movement for the country. And that happens right before the July 4th. So maybe that has something to do with how we're going to feel on July 4th. I think that's really important. Anything else?
Actually, Colleen, you've gone through about 27 questions.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Well, you know, a lot of them were duplicates and
Oh,
stuff.
okay. Okay.
So we tried to
Right.
get to as many as, you know, that fit in with this.
Good.
There's a couple that we didn't touch on, but no, I think you've just about done it for today.
Yay. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining me and playing my favorite game, PoliTarology. I'm really glad you're here. And I just noticed that my face has been off center through this whole video. So all of my shorts are probably going to be like this. You're only going to see this portion of my head. So I don't know if I'll be able to use any of them, but I'll put them up anyway. I don't care. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Please make sure that you're subscribed. I do notice that YouTube is being very stingy and they keep removing people. As soon as I get 10 people, all of a sudden then it goes down 5. And I'm like, what are you doing, YouTube? You're cuckoo bananas. And make sure, thank you, Rose Blue. Thanks very much. And please make sure, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad you tuned in. And thank you for all the questions. That really makes it fun. So subscribe. Please give the video a thumbs up. Share it, you know, if you feel so inclined. And I did open my new website, but there are some little nits that I have to fix. But please go over and visit my website, thecoolcrone.com. I offer a lot of services there. I offer readings, and I do offer, if you just don't know what kind of reading, because I do astrology and I do this thing called cosmic clairvoyance, and I do a variety of different types of card readings. And people sometimes just don't know what kind of reading they should get. So I do offer a free session where you can just go over with me what it is that you want to get a reading about, and I can direct you to the best kind of reading that you should get. And that's free. That little consultation is free. And my membership was up on my website, but we took it down because we wanted to refine what the benefits for the membership are. So I still have memberships through YouTube, and I'm going to be doing a membership meeting very soon. Yeah, because it's almost the end of the month, and I'm sorry, but I'm not good at getting it out there every month. But I got to tell you, the meetings that are there are really fun. So thank you again for stopping by and watching. And I will see you. Let's see. I think I'm doing something Friday, right? Are we doing something Friday?
You might be doing something Friday. You're doing something definitely on Sunday.
Yes, on Sunday, I'm doing another PoliTarology. That's going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. But on Friday, I'm going to be on Sherry's channel for a show called The Other Side of the Coin. This is a show that Mel Dore kind of invented. And me and Aiden have helped him kind of bring it to life. And Sherry is a regular on there. Gerald is usually a regular on there. Arthur has been on there a lot. And we come on as a group and we discuss some kind of a spiritual or metaphysical topic. And we really try to go in depth that topic. And this Friday, we're going to be talking about voodoo. So if you've really always had questions about voodoo or voodoo, you know, that's what we're going to be talking about on Friday. I'm not a big expert on it, but she's got somebody coming on, I think, that is. All right. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. Look for my shorts where you only see half my face. That'll be fun. Hopefully it's the good side of my face. I don't know which side. I think it's going to be this side. Is that the good side? I don't know. All right. We'll see you later. Thank you so much. Bye.